Let's take a more in-depth look at the sharing in Google Drive. So I know that these two folders are shared because of the icon. I also know that this file, individual file here, is shared because of this icon here. So we're going to take a look at another file, and I'm going to click and say share here. And again, this is kind of the entry. They've changed this a little bit in the last 6 months, and so the first time you click on a file, you get this menu here. And so this is kind of your basic file menu. Here I can just enter in a name, and I can give them different types of rights depending on whether or not it's a file or folder. Notice when I select a file, it gives me an additional option, which is can comment, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. I can also get to a couple places very quickly from this menu. If I click here, it's going to give me that shareable link, which basically is going to turn your document on so that you can share this with anybody that has the link. I can also click on advanced here, and that gets me to kind of this older menu here where I can see a little bit more information about who this is being shared with, and can go ahead and invite people. So if I want to start off, right now it's private. So there's really just two types of settings. I can come in here and I can change who can find this file and who can find from the web. So if I click on this one, anybody on the web can find this. So for example, if they're doing a search and that happens to match what's in my document, then my document could be found without that being shared with anybody. So I might use this if I'm in a workshop or conference and I need to very quickly get a document out to somebody. I'd use this. Anyone with a link can access. This means that anybody that has a link that I provide, so again at a workshop, maybe using the Google URL shortener, I would use this. Anybody on Beyond the Chalk, because I'm in a domain, what that allows me to do is that I can share that publicly within the Beyond the Chalk domain. So anybody could search for that within my domain. Anyone with a link, so if I provide the link to anybody inside Beyond the Chalk, again, this is almost the same as this one, except that they can search and find this here. In this case, they would have to have the link. And then I can turn this off, so none of the link sharing availability it pertains to this particular file. So I'm just turning that off, saying that I just want to share with specific people that I designate in the previous menu. Now, I want to show you one other thing here. If I click on this on Beyond the Chalk, or maybe anyone with a link, notice not only do I say anyone with the link, but I also have the option of saying anyone with the link can comment or edit or view. Now you got to be careful about this, because if you give anybody the link and you allow them to edit, what that means is they can get in and they can change that document completely. And we'll talk about revision history and how you can restore changes or restore edits if you need to. This is a fairly new feature. This is Can Comment. And this is a nice feature when you are collaborating on a document and you might need somebody to go through and proofread and edit or comment on your document to suggest changes, those types of things. So there's 3 items. Again, these 3 items are only available if you are sharing an individual file. If you're sharing a folder, you will only see edit and view. So that's just a first start with the link sharing here. So that's one aspect of the sharing piece there. So I'm going to turn this on and say anyone with the link here, and I don't want them to edit, I only want them to be able to view. I click on save, and now what you're going to notice is that this access here has changed to show to reflect the changes that I made here. I can also, or you notice it also gives me a link to this file. Again, I like to use the URL shortener when I have this link, because that's a pretty long link to have somebody try to type into through the Omnibox. Now the other aspect of this is that I can invite individual people. So if I click on this, notice that I have some of the same options. I can say edit, comment, or view here. And so when I type this in, I can say cruisertech@gmail. So there's my other account here. I can notify these people via email. So if you want to make sure that they get this copy, you want to leave this checked. I can also add a message, so this will show up in their email. Please review by tomorrow and send a copy to myself. I can paste the item into the email if I want, and notice that it gives me just a little disclaimer right down here. Editors will be allowed to add people and change the permissions. So notice that when I select can edit, then those editors then have the ability to do this. However, I have the option to come in and change that and say only the owner can change permissions and stuff. So there's lots of hidden features kind of underneath the first menu here that allow you to do some real interesting things. So when I'm done, I can click on send, and now what you're going to notice is that it's going to give me a message again saying I'm outside of the Google Apps organization, outside of Beyond the Chalk. I'm going to say yes, and now that I sent that off, and so it comes back to this window here, and it shows me who now has the ability to edit and make changes, and also have the link to share. I click on done, and now what you're going to notice is that icon now shows up indicating to me that this file is shared with individual people. So we've talked about sharing documents and sharing folders. Let's go and take a look at the other side of the sharing equation, where somebody shared a document with me and what that might look like on your end. So there's a couple ways to do that. If that individual has said, send an email, what you're going to notice is that it's going to show up in your inbox, just like this email here. And I can do one of two things. I can simply click on this, and it's going to open that document up. And notice that it tells me that I'm in suggesting mode. Notice I've already made some changes or some edits, suggested edits over on this side. Now, if you haven't checked your email and you want to just access Drive, we can simply go to Drive, and remember there's a folder underneath my Drive called Shared With Me. If I click on that, notice it tells me who has shared these documents with me, and I can simply access that document from here as well. Again, for this particular document, I am not an editor. I can only comment. And so you notice that as I go through here, I can actually add information in, and that individual is going to be able to see the suggestions that I make without taking and changing the document. So again, I can come in here, I'm going to add an S here, notice it adds that. So when I go back and edit this or take a look at the edits that I've made, what I can do is I can come through and I could say, yes, I accept this one by clicking on the little check mark, or no, I'm not going to take that, and I can reject that submission, and that goes away. So I'm not editing the document right in the document. I'm just suggesting some things that can change. This is a great way to do collaborative writing with your students without them being able to go in and completely change the document for somebody else. They can simply just suggest edits. And then the editor or the creator of the document can go through and just say yes or no to all of the different suggestions that are made here. So it's a great way of going in and using Google Drive within that environment. And we'll talk more about suggested edits when we get to docs. So Google Drive, a great way for sharing documents between different individuals, between different organizations, and out to the general public.